Hey guys, welcome back again. Thanks for subscribing. If you haven't done so, please subscribe and let's keep sharing this content. Now, uh, today we're gonna look at these functions. Let me just list them here. We're gonna look at the count, countif, count ifs, and there's also count. I think blank. Yeah. We're gonna see a series of that. So to count first a series of cells, let's say you just want to count, let's say, how many fruits are here all together. You can basically uh, come and say like just input the formula, the count, just the count formula. But now the count, doesn't really count. The count function doesn't count character values. So for example, if I just do that range and try to count, I'll get 0, right? Because these are character values. But if I want to count character values, I'll then use count A. In this case, if I say count A like that, I'll get feedback. Now let's say I just want to count numerical values. That is when I'll use the count function independently for specifically numerical values. It's important to remember that. Yeah, you see. So count is used for numericals and count A is for character values. Now let's get deeper with the countif function. See what we can do. Countif function is when you want to include a condition in your function. Let's say you want to count instead of months, I say count specific month, right? Let's quickly go and wrap that here. So I just want to count a specific month from this list. As you can see, we have some duplicate values, like we have January repeating itself. So let's say we want to count, let's say January from the list we have there. So let's call upon the count if function. We're gonna select the range, and remember I told you there's so many ways we can select the range. We can actually maybe do so by typing in the cell, the beginning and end of the cell within that range. So the first cell is A2 and the last is A15, so it's A2 to A15. And our criteria, you want to count January, we can just come and put our January in quotes there, and once you do that, you'll return 4. That means it's January appears 4 times here. You can also do the same, let's say, with February. That is by referencing here. You see, February appears too. But what if maybe you have a huge list and you want to, know how many times maybe a specific word appears? So instead of coming here and changing each value every time, we can be smart and apply a good formula. We can just come and copy this range here. You see, copy the range where you want it, and then you come and you paste it here, right? And then you navigate to the data here. You navigate to the data, and in your ribbon you select here in this group of data whereby we have these categories of data validation. We remove duplicates. So once you remove duplicates, you have removed the repeating values and you remain the only unique values here. In this case, we have 6 unique values, which these are the months that in this particular range are not repeating the same, but in this one they are. So we want to find how many times January, February, all the way to May repeats itself here. So that is where we now call upon the function, the countif function, and our range, it's this range. Alright, the one that contains duplicates, and then our criteria now is here. We just do that, and we do not want to absolute reference it, because we want the value to be changing as we go down the column. So that's it, and we do that. Now what you can do is autofill. Oh, it has gone up to down here. uh, we can actually autofill up to here. So what you basically this means is that January appears 4 times, February twice, March twice, the same thing, and even May once. So if let's say I change this to May, I see, you see it will change 2, and then March will have come back to 1. That is how you can actually know the specific values you want from maybe a certain uh, month. So that's it with the COUNTIF. So no, this one was the COUNTIFs. The COUNTIFs. Now count blank quickly before I jump into COUNTIFs. Count blank is an example. You have values here which are you have blank values here, and from your list you just want to count which cells are blank from your column range. So to count, maybe let's say you just want to count which cells are blank here, you can call upon the count blank function, and here you just input the range, and our range will be the range that you want, and then you see it gives us 2, meaning we only have 2 blank values, right? Good. Now let's look at the COUNTIFs. The COUNTIFs is actually an extension of the COUNTIF, but in this case we can actually summarize our data into smaller data sets. So like an example here, we want to know how many apples, the number of apples sold for Nairobi on specifically the month of January. How do we do that? Because here we have the month column, the fruit, the county. Yeah, before we go to the sales revenue, you see. So let's understand the apples that were sold for Nairobi on January. Good. So let's call upon the count COUNTIFs. Right. Now we first need to start with the first criteria. So I'd call upon you to really concentrate here. So the first criteria range is the month. Okay, we go and select our criteria range. So the criteria is the month we want, which is January, from the list. And remember to write the same month name as it appears here. All right. So we are done with the first criteria range and the first criteria. Now we go to the second criteria. The second criteria is the fruits. From the fruits column, what are we tracking here? Let's select the criteria range. Okay, there it is, right? And then now let's go to the second criteria now, which is now the fruit. The fruit we have said it's apples, right? Write your apples there. That is our second criteria. And now we go to the third criteria range. Okay, it's the county. You want Nairobi, right? You select your criteria range, and then your criteria is Nairobi. So here, first let's see, after you are done with that, you can press enter. So what you have actually done is that you realize you have divided this function in three phases, whereby we first have the first criteria range of the month, and then the criteria itself, and then we go to the next criteria range of the fruits and the fruit itself, and then finally the Nairobi. So what you realize is that specifically on January, 2 apples were sold. So what if we come here and say, let's say in Nairobi where it has oranges, we add apples, we see if it will change. In Nairobi, oh, let's say we also change the month to January, because it's looking from January, January apples here. So you see here we have 3 apples, meaning like throughout the month of January, specifically in the county of Nairobi, we have 3 apples. So go on and check out the functions, how it works. It's really crucial when you're trying to summarize from a list. You can actually keep on going to make your data sets smaller and smaller into complex. Maybe you want to answer a specific question, like let's say you want to know maybe in Kisii how many oranges were sold in April, something like that. Or you can also go and say in Mombasa how many watermelons were sold in April. And then you can also go ahead and say specifically for the sales maybe below 400 or above 400, right? Good. Now let's say here we want to count sales which are above a specific value. Let's say you want to count sales which are above 300 from your list of sales. You can call upon the COUNTIF function. You can call upon the COUNTIF function and select your range, and then your criteria. Remember what we said about the operators. Your criteria, you want to count only above 300 bob. Good. So what it means here, from this list of from this range of 14 cells, only 9 cells sold above maybe 300. So if you want to know maybe specifically 300, if you want to know specifically 300, you can call upon COUNTIF range from here to here, and then from there you can actually now write 300 like that without the quotes. So meaning in this range you only have 2 cells which sold 300, right? So let me say I change this one to 300. I see if it will affect the total tally here. You see it changes. Even if I go ahead and changes this one to 300, it still affects that one. Good. Now this is actually important. Go ahead and practice so that you might get to have a good grasp of how these functions work, because they're really useful. So if you remember, if you have not subscribed, kindly do so, because in the next lesson, the next tutorial, we're gonna have an introduction to working with interactive reports. Yeah, an interactive report that you really, yeah, we're gonna know what an interactive report it's all about and working with reports in Excel. Goodbye.